How you doing, sir?
Just fine. And how are you?
I'm doing outstanding. Looking forward to the talk today. I really am. Talking about today's subject, we want to talk about God consciousness. You know, often when I was growing up, when I thought about God, I thought about the triune God, everything pertaining to God. It was out there. And that's, of course, because of how I was trained. You know, and of course that training went on for generations to generations to generations until I heard something new. What are your thoughts about God consciousness and God within?
God consciousness is all there is. That's it. God consciousness of humanity is humanity. I am with you always. I will never leave you. Omnipresence. What more do you need to know to enter in self, to see what it is you're using the power to do in your world of experiencing? And remember, whatsoever, that's what you're given to choose from. And you are choosing, but are you satisfied with your choices? Because your daily experiencing is the future you're creating right now. Isn't that what it is?
Absolutely. Right now.
I don't know what it is that they're questioning so much for when they won't take advantage of the very simple idea that was just presented. Just do that, and it'll lead you anywhere you want to go. But you have to pay attention. You have to focus. And that I know that's difficult to do at first. And I admit for me it took years, but it needn't do so. See, you can turn around in 7 seconds, right?
Absolutely.
I'm referring to your 7-second prayer.
Absolutely. I knew where you're going. But you're correct. And sometimes less time than that.
Yeah, actually, and the thing of it is, you do so sometimes without even being conscious you're actually doing so. I mean, the thought just slipped through you, agreed with it, and here you are, experience it, and you wonder, where did this come from? See, if you're experiencing it, you created it. That's it. There's no place else to go with that but through you. It all comes through you, not to you. You understand? That's the reason why you're told to just be aware of what you're talking to yourself about, what you're suggesting to yourself about, because that's your life experiencing. And if you want to change it, that's what you're given to do. And you're actually in the act of using it. But if you're not enjoying life, then you're abusing it. It works with you, not against you. You understand? It's there for you to use, but you had to be given consciousness of being. You had to have right and wrong, up and down, on and off, and you had to know all of these. But you can also go beyond natural man-mind reasoning. In fact, that's what you will eventually do, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the goal.
I mean, you're going to do it, but why wait? I did that for years. I waited for what? I couldn't even tell you. But I was waiting for something. I don't know what. And how do you give a man something if he doesn't know what he wants? See, there it is. People come in for private interviews and they start right off, and they don't have a clue as to what they really want, or even they block it off with the idea they're not worthy. I just tell them, well, get over it. You're not. Scripture tells not one. Isn't that what it says?
That's exactly what it says. Not one is worthy.
Not one is worthy. Well, then, why spend your time worrying about something you haven't been able to even conceive of taking care of? why not focus on what do you want? Yeah, a lot of people complain about they're not getting what they want, but then they really don't know what they want. I mean, they'll double talk it all the way through an hour session, and I say, don't you hear? You're being double-minded here. You're for the thing here, but over here you're not. I mean, what is it? See, if you're not clear in your own mind, how can you expect to receive? Because it tells you choose this day, and you're about doing so. And most people aren't even aware they're actually choosing their day, but you actually are. And moment by moment, you see, that's how you miss it, because it's ongoing moment by moment. See, if it was an hour or so and you could think about it, you might change your mind. But the idea is to go in with a changed mind, changed according to what it is you really want to experience. Because you're going to experience what you're experiencing anyway. You're going to be experiencing it because as you think, you are, you do, you have. So just start right there. All this other stuff, you'll just automatically go through all the steps. In fact, Jesus said it, these things I do, you shall do also. Well, then, isn't it telling you got a few steps to go to get there?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you said that many people come to you in a private interview, mm-hmm. and they don't know what it is that they want. And it's so true. You know, the funny thing is everybody can tell you what they're against, but they can't tell you what they're for. And it's like a young man had put a post on our YouTube channel, and it said that the Bible was not inerrant and it had errors and you couldn't trust it, blah, blah, blah. And I told the young man or person, I said, listen, you had to find out what's true for you and begin living from that point. And that's true for all of us. I mean, you have to discover who God is to you. And you and I had a talk earlier, so I want to kind of address it. You know, people have this concept of Neville now as though he was St. Neville and that he walked on water and that he didn't have vices and that his life was perfect and that he didn't have any shortcomings. And I wrote in a post that that's just not the case. Neville was just like each and every one of us, and it was through his trials that he learned to overcome. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. That's exactly it. I mean, he told you himself. He said, hey, I'm just another one like you. No special anything, except that I wanted to know. See, that's who we're looking for, people who want to know first person. I mean, if hearsay is okay with you, well, fine, because a lot of it is all right. But the idea is thinking for yourself. You know, you said about here's a guy who's 90, what was it, 94, 93 or 94, and he's just learning to read, and he's saying he just didn't realize what he had missed out on all of his life because he didn't know how to read. And now he's just so, I mean, he's really over the top, reading everything now. but that's people. People go through their life not knowing something that's right all around you. It's with you always. All you have to do is ask. You know, you're told you receive not because you ask not. Or, now that's that or, see, asking amiss. And asking amiss is what we do when we complain. We're asking amiss because what you're complaining about, you're going to get more of because that's what has your attention. That's what has your life. So think about it. Really think about what you're thinking about. Know what you're thinking about, and you'll know where you're going. You don't need an astronomer to read the stars for you. But you'd say the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves as underlings.
Absolutely.
Come on. That Shakespeare has together. And people go and they listen to his plays and all of that. But, you know, you talk to some of them, not have a clue. As a matter of fact, I did a construction job for a professor at the college there, and he's talking about Shakespeare. The man did not have a clue as to what Shakespeare was saying, and he's the professor. Knowledge doesn't mean what experience means, and you're given the opportunity to experience what you think you are, you do, you have, you be, but you have to pay attention to keep it on track, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And you just stated something, so I want to kind of go back to it. You said that knowledge does not have the same, and I'm going to paraphrase slightly, the same benefit that experience has. And what I find is that many people are chasing knowledge. So they'll follow this teacher, the next teacher, or they'll get engrossed in a single teacher, but they never seek to experience what it is that the teacher experienced. Would you agree?
That's it. You're a hearer of the word, but you're not a doer of it. See, and it tells you right there, you deny yourself. If you hear it and you agree with it, well, then do it. I mean, at least open and quicken it to see what it is that you have been missing all along in the journey. If you add just a little knowledge, you know more. And the more you know, the better your life gets almost immediately. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but then again, I have seen those who have made the turnaround really quick. And it really amazed me because, but then they probably didn't suffer the problems I have, that lazy-mindedness and double-mindedness. You see, people have that, and they don't really realize it until they start looking for it. But they are operating from it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's with all of us. And it goes back to say that God is no respecter of persons. So you said it earlier, they have not because they ask not. People are seeking this wisdom. They haven't asked for it.
Well, and even when they do, and even when they get it, they do it. See, that's it. I mean, look, you could pick up one of Neville's tapes. I don't care what it is. There are points of great interest in every one of those talks. They may not be part of the talk, actually, but he's giving you a map that you can change your mind and change your world and do so successfully and know so successfully because you always get what you expect. But if you're not even looking for it, you see, how are you going to get it? Right? Wouldn't you say?
I would. The question is, how do you know that you haven't already received it, since you don't know?
See, that's it. As a matter of fact, he says that when you ask, that's it. Well, what are you asking for? See, you're asking for what you're expecting. Because if you ain't expecting it, you ain't getting it. That's kind of for sure, isn't it?
That's absolutely for sure. And I like that you went back to the expecting. So for the listener, hear what he said. What you're expecting, that's your acts. So for the person who says, I always get sick this time of year. I have a problem with allergies and pollen, so when it gets really bad, I have, these allergy symptoms. You're expecting to have the allergy symptoms is your acts. Would you agree?
That's it. And when you find, and that's what it says, he laughs, when you realize that the whole thing is just how you see it. And you're given to see it differently. I mean, change your mind, change your world. Your mindsets. You have mindsets about many, many, many different things in your world of experiencing. But the thing is that you should check up on that bunch to see that they're serving you. And if they're not serving you, drop them. See, we get so many things going on in our mind that we can't focus as we should be able to focus because you are given to do so. I mean, that was made very clear, that you can do this. This is a doable. So claiming, you're too weak, or you're too this, or you're too that, no, that won't hold water, because you are responsible to know. So that means that you can know, and you're given to know. And he'll repeat it several times throughout the scriptures that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the story being shared with you. But it's those little one-liners. So those are the things that really grab you. And if they grab your attention and you'll open them and quicken them, they'll lead you exactly where you want to go, effortlessly. And that's the word, effortlessly. You don't need to get all in a frustration about what you do and all of that. No. It's as you think you are. Physically, mentally, psychologically. This is a psychological drama. Of course, I hope you figured that out by now, that this is a psychological drama. And as within, so without really is what is happening. So if you're satisfied with what you're thinking and feeling, wonderful, expand on it. But if you're not, drop it and be so. Be attentive to what you want. But as it is, you have it. You claim it. You see, claiming is faith. You're claiming it before you have physical evidence of it. But that's when it was real as idea. Look at all the things around you. Look, all these computers and TVs and CDs and DVDs and whatever. But all of them had to come through mind. Everything, the bridges, the roads, everything had to come through mind. And that's imagination. And that's God in you. But he gave you choose this day. And he tells you, I suffer with you, but you behold me not. He says he's with you always. He'll never leave you, omnipresence. There it is. See, people get caught up in ceremonies and all of that thing that mean nothing. It is in you already. You don't need to go looking for it. You are it. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So it takes us right back to God consciousness, realizing that you are that. You said at one point, you said someone may say that I'm to this or to that. Whatever that you're acknowledging as you're to this or to that, only thing you're doing is locking that state in. And if you want to change that state, you must be open to a new, better, improved ideal of yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because, look, very plainly the Scripture tells you, as a man thinketh in his heart. That's the feeling nature. As you think in your feeling nature, that's your world of experiencing. And if you really look at what you're thinking and feeling and then what you wind up experiencing, you'll see the connection. And once you get the connection, now you can change what you want or what you have because you thought, I am that. You're claiming it. You're claiming whatever you want to be before you ever be it. But you're claiming it. That's acting in faith. He says, you receive not because you ask not. Well, that seems like a simple solution, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You said something earlier, and I'm talking about coming from a place of a triune being because we are constantly creating. And the creation starts at the spirit level. We said at one time, you said spirit is always the beginning or the origin of creation. And you said it's only real as ideal. You say that, and most people miss it. The first creation, as you and I both know, is ideal.
We both missed it the same way, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, we missed it and missed it and missed it. That's why we're trying to share it with people who are missing it also. I mean, it's not special to us. God's no respecter of persons. If he's ever healed anyone, he'll heal anyone who asks. Believing is receiving. And then that people say, well, now there's the catch. And I go, what catch? Believing. Well, you got to believe something. You believe all sorts of things. You got here in your car just so you believe you can drive. It's so super simple that it goes right over. You know, that's what happens. It's so super simple. They want to complicate it because if it's too complicated, then they're saying, well, I'm not experienced. I don't have enough education. I can't. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As you think you are. Just keep it that simple and go over it and over it and over it. That's why we suggested you get these talks on CDs and listen to them over and over because you planted the idea. Now keep watering it because you have to pay attention to it. If you stop, it all stops. It's as you think you are. If you stop thinking that way, it goes away. Because you stop feeding it. And if you stop feeding it, it goes away almost immediately. But you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. At least enough, just enough to see a benefit. Because once you see a benefit, then you'll operate voluntarily. I mean, this is a voluntary situation. If you're okay with what you're living with right now, the way you're living, and good, bad, or indifferent, if you're satisfied with it, that's fine. But if you're not, and you're looking for a way to cause desired change, look, we're not just talking about making change, because that's automatic. This is a world of ideas and attitudes and change. So there's always going to be change. We're talking about desired change. In other words, you're choosing the change, but you have to start living the change to get the change. Because you're it. It's when you feel I am that, that's when it's yours. And you can do so. Little kids do it. They're out there. Man, he's got an airplane in his hand going all over the place. He's flying. He knows how to do it. Do what it is you want to do, the best you can do it. That's his best, the child. But he's creative in his own mind, as you are. It's all in mind. It's all with you already. I am with you always. I will never leave you. That sounds like immortality to me, doesn't it to you?
It does. It really does. So, question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The question is, was Neville the exception to the rule? Because I hear so many people saying that, Neville had this specialized knowledge and they can't obtain it, and that, he was so far superior. And so right now, the thing that Neville didn't want, he didn't want to become a saint. He didn't want to be put up on a wall. He didn't want to be worshipped, but that's what's happening. But the question is, can anybody do what it is that Neville did?
Well, I'm proof of that. I was a student of Neville, and I understood exactly what he said years later from when I first, well, it was 50 years ago. But from that time, it took me years just to be still. You're told, be still and know that I am God. In other words, shut up and listen. You'll be told what you need to know. All the help you need, you're told, is nearer than hands and feet. All you have to do is stop moving your hands and feet for a while and be still. It's right with you. Everything you want to know, every question you have is answered in you if you'll listen. And it says, be still. So in other words, be still and see. That's all you have to do. and be patient. That, of course, was my biggest problem, just being patient with myself over and over. In fact, like I said, it took me years because I couldn't actually obtain that silence, that total silence, even for a moment at that time. And now it's natural to do so. But it is what you're looking for, and what you're looking for is actually looking for you, but you have to be still to recognize it. That's where the magic is, in the stillness. Contemplation, meditation, it's all right with you, but you have to feel after it. You're told, feel after it, and you'll find it. Seek and you shall find. What are you looking for? Because that's what you find. And if you're not enjoying life, well, then you were thinking negative. Because it's as you think you are. God didn't make a mistake. He's giving you exactly what you're asking for. So that's the warning. If people say, well, they say that the beginning of knowledge is the fear of God. But he's not a monster. He's just telling you, I'm with you always. I will never leave you. You're operating the power. Doing what? That's the question. What are you doing? What are you thinking feelingly about generally most of the time? Because that's what you're creating in your world of experiencing. I guess you could put it other ways, but I don't think there's any need to, if you're really looking to know first person. And Neville, he laid it out for you. He gave you a lot more than I know. At that time, I did not know anything he was talking about except the law of liberty. And that I focused on, and when I started getting benefits, I realized that that's only the beginning. And it's what it is for you, too. It's only a beginning because the end is God himself. That's who you are. That's who I am. Yeah. The thing of it is, people don't have a sense of humor about religion. Really. It's like George Carlin said, well, think of this. Everything that God makes dies. Yeah, he was quite a character.
He was. I'm going back to what you said. You said the end is God, and that's it. We want to confine God to the box called Jesus, the box called Neville, the box called Lindell, the box of whomever.
Or the box called TV.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the truth of the matter is, God will not be confined to a box. He can't be. He desires to be expressed through the individual. And again, as Lindell said a moment ago, the end is God and us realizing who we are, that forgotten identity of being God incarnate in this suit called flesh. Would you agree?
He left himself what? A remembrancer. So what did he give up? He gave up his memory. He gave up who he was. Son, all I have is yours. He gave you all, himself too. Because he said, I'm with you always, I never leave you. Well, that's always, isn't it?
Always.
Yeah, see? So it's that simple. You have to just run over in your mind what you can remember that's simple. Just keep it simple. And it took me years to do so. And I even had Neville for a teacher. So I was really a tough case. Like he said, you're not on your own side. That's kind of hard to take. But it hit home. I wasn't on my side. I was the one working against me. I was the competition I was competing against. You see, because it's all a virtual reality out of the mind of man. It's a virtual reality. We're told it's a shadow world,